You put my people at risk.
We analyzed the risks thoroughly. It was unavoidable.
The sound of the phone hitting the polished mahogany echoed through the boardroom like a gunshot. Silence fell as something small and worn tumbled out, a faded photograph that made Victoria Chen, CEO of Horizon Enterprises, go pale. Her manicured hand trembled as she reached for it, eyes locked with the janitor standing across from her. In that moment, everything changed. If you're wondering how a janitor confronted one of the most powerful executives in the city and why a simple photograph could shake her to her core, stay with me. This story might just change how you see the world around you. If you find yourself moved by what you're about to hear, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more stories that reveal the extraordinary connections hiding in ordinary lives. Ray Mendez had been invisible for most of his life. At least, that's how it felt. For 8 years, he'd moved through the gleaming halls of the Horizon Enterprises headquarters with his cleaning cart, headphones on, eyes down. The executives in their tailored suits walked past him as if he were part of the furniture. He didn't mind much, the night shift paid better, and it meant he could spend his days with his daughter, Lucia. Lucia was 13 now, all gangly limbs and curious eyes that reminded Ray so much of her mother that sometimes it hurt to look at her. Maria had been gone for 5 years, taken by an aggressive cancer that moved too quickly for the doctors to stop. The medical bills had cleaned out their savings, forcing Ray to sell their small house and move into a cramped apartment in a neighborhood where the sirens never seemed to stop. "Dad, I got the part." Lucia had burst through the door that afternoon, waving a script in her hand. "I'm going to be Juliet in the school play." Ray had lifted her off her feet in a hug, his heart swelling with pride. "That's my girl. We need to celebrate." But celebration meant money, and money was something they never seemed to have enough of. Ray had promised her they'd go for ice cream after he finished his shift. It wasn't much, but the way her eyes lit up made him feel like he'd offered her the world. That night, as he pushed his cart through the executive floor, Ray found himself pausing outside the CEO's office. Victoria Chen was still there, despite the late hour. Through the glass walls, he could see her pacing, phone pressed to her ear, gesturing sharply with her free hand. He'd seen her many times before, in the news, in company emails, occasionally striding through the halls with an entourage trailing behind her. She was formidable, with sharp eyes that seemed to calculate your worth in seconds. Ray had never spoken to her. Why would he? She existed in a different universe than his, one of private jets and penthouse views. He was about to move on when he heard her voice rise, the words clear through the partially open door. "I don't care what it costs. Buy the property and demolish it. The community center is an eyesore, and we need that land for the expansion." Ray froze. The West Side Community Center. Where Lucia went after school when he couldn't be home. Where she'd learned to dance and act and found her voice. Where she was rehearsing for the role that had her bouncing with excitement just hours ago. "The residents can find somewhere else," Victoria continued, irritation edging her voice. "We've already greased the right palms at City Hall. It's a done deal." Something shifted in Ray at that moment. A lifetime of keeping his head down, of accepting that people like Victoria Chen made decisions that people like him just had to live with, it all crystallized into a hard knot in his chest. Before he could think better of it, he pushed open the door. Victoria looked up, startled. "Excuse me? This is a private conversation." Ray stood there, still holding his mop, feeling absurdly out of place but too angry to care. "That community center you're talking about? It's not an eyesore. It's a lifeline for kids in my neighborhood." Victoria's surprise gave way to cold annoyance. "I don't know who you are, but you're interrupting a business call. Please leave before I call security. My name is Ray Mendez. I've worked here for 8 years cleaning up after people who don't even see me. And my daughter," his voice caught, "my daughter needs that place." Victoria ended her call with a curt goodbye. "Mr. Mendez, I understand you're upset, but business decisions aren't made based on individual circumstances. The expansion will create jobs and increase property values in your neighborhood. Property values? Ray laughed bitterly. You think any of us will be able to stay once that happens? You're not creating opportunity, you're erasing us. Victoria sighed, reaching for her phone. I'm calling security. This conversation is over. Something in Ray snapped. He stepped forward and did something he'd never done in his life. He reached out and slammed his hand down on her phone, pushing it hard against the table. The impact caused the case to pop open, and something fluttered out onto the polished surface between them. A photograph. Small, worn at the edges, clearly carried for years. In it, a younger Victoria stood with her arm around a teenage girl with a shy smile, both of them in front of a building Ray recognized immediately, the Westside Community Center. Victoria's composure cracked. Her hand trembled as she reached for the photo, but Ray was faster. He picked it up, studying it. Who is she? He asked, his voice softer now. Victoria's face had gone pale. My sister, she whispered, and for the first time, Ray saw something human in her eyes. Amy. The silence between them stretched, filled with unspoken questions. She died, Victoria finally said, her voice barely audible. 15 years ago. Drug overdose. Ray gently placed the photo on the table between them. I'm sorry. Victoria's eyes remained fixed on the photograph. That center was the only place she felt safe. Our home wasn't good. Our father. She trailed off, then straightened her shoulders. It doesn't matter now. Business is business. It matters to my daughter, Ray said quietly. It matters to hundreds of kids just like your sister. Victoria looked up at him, really seeing him for the first time. What's your daughter's name? Lucia. She's 13. She just got cast as Juliet in the school play. They rehearse at the center. Something shifted in Victoria's expression. Amy was in a play there once. She was terrible. A ghost of a smile touched her lips. But so happy. Ray took a chance. Come see it for yourself. Before you make your decision. See what you'd be destroying. The next day, Ray was certain he'd be fired. Instead, he received a message asking him to meet Victoria at the community center that evening. He arrived to find her standing outside, looking uncomfortable in her designer clothes that stood out starkly against the worn brick building. Mr. Mendez, she nodded stiffly. Ray, he corrected her. Just Ray. Inside, the center was alive with activity. Kids of all ages in different rooms, some playing basketball, others hunched over homework, a group practicing dance moves. And in the small auditorium, Lucia and her classmates were running lines. Victoria stood in the back, watching silently as Lucia delivered Juliet's lines with a passion that made Ray's chest ache with pride. When they took a break, he waved his daughter over. Lucia, this is Ms. Chen. She's my boss. Lucia's eyes widened. You're the lady from the big building. Dad cleans your office. Victoria seemed taken aback by the direct acknowledgement. Yes, I am. Are you here to see our play? It's not ready yet, but I'm working really hard. I can see that, Victoria said, her voice softer than Ray had ever heard it. You're very good. Lucia beamed. The center's drama teacher, Ms. Patel, says I have natural talent. Before I started coming here, I was too scared to talk in front of people. Now I'm Juliet. As they toured the rest of the center, Ray watched Victoria's face. She stopped to speak with volunteers, with children, asking questions and actually listening to the answers. Outside the art room, she paused in front of a wall of photographs, years of community events, celebrations, achievements. There, Ray said, pointing to a faded photo from years ago. A teenage production of Our Town. Victoria stepped closer, her breath catching. There was Amy, awkward and smiling in a simple costume. "I forgot about this," she whispered. "I was working 2 jobs then. I couldn't come to see her." "You're here now," Ray said simply. Later, as they stood outside the center in the gathering dusk, Victoria was quiet for a long time. "I built Horizon from nothing," she finally said. "Every decision I've made was about growth, expansion, profit. I never looked back." "Maybe it's time to look around instead," Ray suggested. 3 weeks later, Ray received an invitation, formal, embossed with the Horizon logo, to attend a press conference. When he arrived, confused and uncomfortable in his one good shirt, Victoria nodded to him from the podium. "Today, I'm announcing a change to Horizon's expansion plans," she told the assembled reporters. "Instead of demolishing the Westside Community Center, we will be partnering with it. Horizon will fund a complete renovation and expansion of the current facility, as well as establish a scholarship program for the children who use it." The room erupted in questions. Ray stood stunned as Victoria continued. "This decision reflects Horizon's new commitment to responsible community development. We believe that true progress lifts everyone, not just shareholders." After the press conference, Victoria found Ray in the hallway. "Thank you," he said simply. She shook her head. "Don't thank me. This isn't charity. It's good business to invest in communities." But there was something different in her eyes now, a humanity that hadn't been there before. "Will you come to Lucia's play?" he asked impulsively. "Opening night is next Friday." Victoria hesitated, then nodded. "I'd like that." On opening night, the small auditorium was packed. Ray saved a seat, not really expecting Victoria to show up. But just as the lights were dimming, she slipped into the chair beside him. "Sorry I'm late," she whispered. "Board meeting." On stage, Lucia shone. When she delivered her lines about love transcending boundaries, Ray glanced over to see Victoria discreetly wiping away a tear. After the show, as Lucia accepted a bouquet from Victoria with wide-eyed delight, Ray realized something had fundamentally changed. Not just for the community center or for his daughter's future, but in how he saw himself. He wasn't invisible anymore. His voice mattered. One moment of courage had created ripples he could never have imagined. 6 months later, the renovated community center reopened with a new wing, the Amy Chen Arts Program. At the ribbon-cutting ceremony, Victoria stood not with her usual entourage of executives, but with Ray and Lucia beside her. "Sometimes we forget what matters," she told the crowd. "We get so focused on building empires that we don't see the foundations crumbling beneath them. This center saved my sister once. It couldn't save her in the end, but maybe, through this program, it can save others." Later, as children explored the new facilities with exclamations of wonder, Victoria turned to Ray. "I've been thinking," she said. "Horizon needs someone to oversee our new community initiatives. Someone who understands what these programs really mean to people. Would you be interested?" Ray stared at her in disbelief. "Me? I'm a janitor." Victoria smiled. "You're the man who had the courage to slam my phone down and make me see what I was destroying. I think you're exactly what Horizon needs." As Lucia ran up to show them the new theater space, Ray felt a weight lift from his shoulders. For years, he'd been just trying to survive, to keep his head above water for his daughter's sake. Now, suddenly, there was more, possibility, opportunity, a chance to make a difference. All because he'd found his voice when it mattered most. That night, as he tucked an exhausted but happy Lucia into bed, she asked, "Dad, do you think Mom would be proud of me?" Ray smoothed her hair back from her forehead. "Every single day, Mija. But especially today. And of you too," she added sleepily. "You changed everything." As Ray turned out the light, he thought about the photograph that had fallen from Victoria's phone that night. How something so small, a memory carried close to the heart but never examined, could change the course of so many lives when finally brought into the light. Sometimes the most powerful moments come when we're brave enough to see each other, really see each other, across the divisions we create. A janitor and a CEO. A father and a sister. People carrying their own burdens, their own regrets, their own hopes. In the end, it wasn't about power or position. It was about remembering our shared humanity, about finding the courage to stand up for what matters, and about the unexpected connections that can heal wounds we didn't even know we had. If this story touched you, remember that you too have the power to create change, to speak up, to see the humanity in others even when it seems hidden. Your voice matters. Your story matters. And sometimes, the most important connections come from the most unexpected places. Thank you for listening to this story. If it moved you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more stories that remind us of the extraordinary possibilities that exist in every ordinary day.